The Galactic Wellness Center on Station Kepler 442 was the premier fitness facility for 17 different species. Zixthar, a Velcran fitness instructor with 4 arms and bioluminescent skin, prided himself on accommodating every client's needs. His gym featured gravity adjusters, atmospheric controls, and specialized equipment for beings ranging from the aquatic Drenathy to the silicon-based KR-20H. When Marcus Rodriguez walked through the door, Zixthar's greeting antennae twitched with curiosity. The human had registered online, but this was Zixthar's first time meeting one of the notorious Deathworlders in person. "Welcome, human Marcus," Zixthar chirped, his translator rendering his clicks into standard galactic. "I've prepared a beginner orientation for you. Given your species' recent admission to the galactic community, I assume you're unfamiliar with modern fitness technology?" Marcus smiled politely, setting down his primitive fabric bag. "Thanks, but I've been working out since high school. Just point me to the weights." Zixthar's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. The human stood barely 6 feet tall, average build, nothing remarkable. "Of course. But first, we must calibrate the gravity settings for your comfort. Most species train at 0.4 standard G. What's your preference? What's standard gravity here?" Marcus asked. 0.6 G, matching Velcrina's surface. We keep it slightly elevated for cardiovascular benefit. Marcus shrugged. "That's fine. Earth's at 1 G, so this feels light anyway." Zixthar's skin flashed orange, the Velcran equivalent of a double take. "You train at your planet's natural gravity? That's full standard?" "Yeah, why wouldn't we?" The instructor's mandibles clicked nervously. He'd read the reports about Earth, a hellworld with crushing gravity, extreme temperature swings, and an atmosphere so corrosive it literally rusted metal. But seeing a human casually dismiss 0.6 G as light made those reports suddenly, terrifyingly real. "Right. Well, let me show you our equipment." Zixthar led Marcus past a Threnxian doing careful stretches in 0.3 G, past a Drenathy in an aquatic resistance tank, to the weight section. "Our resistance machines use graviton fields to simulate loads up to 200 kelks, equivalent to about 150 of your pounds." Marcus examined a machine that looked like a metallic sculpture. "And free weights?" "Free weights?" Zixthar's antennae drooped. "That's archaic. Dangerous. We haven't used actual mass-based resistance in centuries." "You don't have barbells? Dumbbells?" No. Marcus sighed, then brightened. "That's okay. I brought my own." He unzipped his bag, pulling out 2 hexagonal metal objects. Zixthar's translator struggled with the number it displayed. Each primitive weight was 45 Earth pounds. At 1 G. In this 0.6 G environment, they were relatively lighter, but still. "Shall we begin?" Marcus asked, heading toward an open space. Zixthar's skin flickered white with fear. What had he gotten himself into? Marcus found an empty corner of the gym and began what he called warming up. Zixthar watched from a safe distance, his professional curiosity overriding his survival instincts. Around them, other gym patrons had stopped their exercises to observe the Deathworlder. "I usually start with some light cardio," Marcus explained, placing his hands on the floor. "Just a few push-ups to get the blood flowing." He began lowering and raising his body using only his arms. Zixthar's translator helpfully informed him this push-up was a fundamental human exercise that had existed for thousands of years. What the translator couldn't convey was the absolute insanity of what he was witnessing. The human was lifting his entire body mass, at least 180 Earth pounds, repeatedly, using only his upper limbs. In 0.6 G, yes, but that was still over 100 pounds of resistance per repetition. The Velcran's own arms could barely manage 20 kelks on the assisted machines. 15, 16, 17. Marcus counted casually, not even breathing hard. A Threnxian female named Kyra Shell approached Zixthar, her crystalline carapace chiming softly. "Instructor, is that safe?" "He's performing repeated full-body resistance exercises without a harness or medical monitor." I don't know," Zixthar admitted. "Human physiology is still being studied." Marcus finished at 30, popped to his feet in one smooth motion, and began rotating his arms in large circles. "Okay, shoulders are loose. Let me do some jumping jacks." He proceeded to leap into the air, actually leave the ground, while spreading his limbs, then return to a standing position. He did this 50 times in rapid succession. "He's fighting gravity," squeaked a small Pixan engineer who'd been using the low-resistance elliptical. "Voluntarily. Repeatedly. It's how we exercise on Earth," Marcus said cheerfully, not even winded. "Bodyweight training, plyometrics. Good for explosive strength." Zixthar pulled up his datapad, frantically searching human exercise databases that had been uploaded to the galactic network. What he found made his bioluminescence dim with shock. Humans had hundreds of bodyweight exercises. They lifted heavy objects repeatedly for fun. They ran long distances despite being pursued predators who no longer needed to chase prey. They intentionally damaged their muscle fibers so they'd grow back stronger. They called it working out. The rest of the galaxy called it systematic self-destruction. "All right," Marcus said, picking up his dumbbells. "Now for the actual workout. I'm thinking chest and triceps today. Bench press, dumbbell flies, skull crushers." "What did you say?" Zixthar's translator nearly short-circuited. "Skull crushers. It's just an exercise name, don't worry." Marcus looked around. "Hey, you got anything I can use as a bench?" With trembling arms, Zixthar directed him to a flat platform designed for Velcrin meditation. Marcus lay down on it, raising both dumbbells above his chest. Then he began pressing 90 pounds of metal up and down, his face reddening with exertion but his form perfect. Every alien in the gym had stopped exercising entirely. They were watching evolution in action. By his fifth set of dumbbell presses, Marcus had attracted a crowd. 12 different species formed a semicircle around the meditation bench, watching in horrified fascination as the human completed another 10 repetitions. "That's 15 sets," whispered a KR-20H geology student, its silicon-based body humming with disbelief. "He's repeated the same motion 150 times. Why hasn't his muscle structure failed?" Zixthar was wondering the same thing. He'd pulled up the Galactic Standard Fitness Guidelines on his datapad, cross-referencing them with the fragmentary data about human physiology. The numbers didn't make sense. "Excuse me," said a voice behind him. Zixthar turned to find Thex Valor, a renowned Velcrin sports physician who sometimes consulted at the gym. "I've been monitoring the Deathworlder. Is he aware he's operating at 340% above the galactic safe exercise threshold?" I tried to tell him. "Because," Thex Valor continued, her 4 eyes wide, "his heart rate has barely elevated to 125 beats per minute. That's a light warm-up for Velcrin physiology. But he's moving approximately 8,000 kelks of mass per minute when you calculate all repetitions and gravity adjustments." Marcus sat up, breathing heavily now, sweat darkening his gray shirt. "Man, I miss Earth gravity. This feels too easy." "Hey, Ixthar, you got anything heavier?" "Those are our maximum mass resistance loads," Zixthar admitted. "Seriously?" Marcus looked disappointed. He stood, walked to his bag, and pulled out more equipment, a thick rubber band he called up a resistance band, and a weighted vest. "Good thing I came prepared. Old-school methods never fail." He strapped on the vest, adding another 20 pounds, and looped the resistance band around the dumbbells, creating variable resistance. Then he resumed his exercises. Kyra Shell approached cautiously. Human Marcus, forgive my intrusion, but why do you do this to yourself? Is this punishment for a crime? Marcus laughed between repetitions. No, it's just, staying healthy. Looking good. Stress relief. He grunted through another press. Plus, I've got a beach vacation on Theta Proxima next month. Gotta maintain the physique. You torture yourself for aesthetic purposes? Kyra Shell's translator added a note of psychological concern. Torture? This is fun. The Threnxian backed away slowly. Thexvalor pulled Zixthar aside. I've been consulting the medical databases. Do you know what percentage of a human's body mass is dedicated to muscular tissue? No? 40%. Sometimes more with training. Most species average 20 to 25%. The physician's voice dropped to an odd whisper. They're not just strong for their size, Zixthar. They're built like biological combat machines. Dense bones, redundant organs, a cardiovascular system designed for both endurance and explosive action. As if to prove her point, Marcus finished his presses and moved to pull-ups, grabbing an overhead bar designed for Velcrin stretching exercises. He proceeded to lift his entire body weight, plus vest, until his chin cleared the bar. 17 times. The gym had gone completely silent except for Marcus's controlled breathing. News of the human's workout spread through Station Kepler 442's social networks within minutes. By the time Marcus moved on to what he called leg day demonstrations, the gym's observation gallery had filled with curious aliens streaming in from across the station. Zixthar tried to maintain professional composure, but his bioluminescence kept flickering between colors as he watched Marcus load his primitive barbell with additional weight plates he'd somehow smuggled aboard. Squats are the king of exercises, Marcus explained to his growing audience, positioning the loaded bar across his shoulders. Full-body compound movement. Builds functional strength. How much mass is he lifting? Someone in the crowd asked. Zixthar checked his scanner. In Earth measurements, 225 pounds. Plus his own body weight of 185 pounds. Total, 410 pounds. At current gravity adjustment, effective weight is approximately 246 pounds. That's more than a Drenathy cargo loader can move, gasped the Pixan engineer. Marcus descended into a squat, thighs parallel to the ground, then exploded upward. He did this 10 times, racked the weight, rested 2 minutes, then repeated. 4 sets total. During his rest period, a figure pushed through the crowd. Kthar-9, a Velcrin professional athlete who held 3 station records in resistance training, approached with characteristic swagger. Human, Kthar-9 announced, his bioluminescence flashing competitive red. I am the strongest being on this station. I've held the gym's total resistance record for 2 cycles. You may be strong for a newcomer, but Deathworlder reputation is merely propaganda. Marcus took a drink from his water bottle. Okay. I challenge you to a competition. Standard protocol, 3 lifts, cumulative weight determines victor. We'll use the graviton resistance equipment for accurate measurement. Sure, Marcus said easily. Sounds fun. Zixthar wanted to intervene, but Thexvalor placed a restraining hand on his shoulder. Let this happen, she whispered. The galactic community needs to see this. We need data. Kthar-9's 3 eyes gleamed with confidence. He'd trained his entire life, had genetics optimized for Velcrin strength sports, and had access to the best coaching and nutrition the galaxy offered. The competition drew an even larger crowd. Station Administrator Velcross arrived personally, intrigued by reports of the spectacle. The gym's ancient ceremonial weighing platform, rarely used anymore, was activated. Kthar-9 went first, performing 3 impressive lifts on the graviton equipment, an overhead press of 180 kelks, a back resistance pull of 210 kelks, and a leg press of 300 kelks. Total, 690 kelks, equivalent to approximately 517 Earth pounds across all 3 lifts. The crowd erupted in cheers. It was a personal best. Marcus stepped up, rolling his shoulders. So I just matched the movements? Can I use my own equipment? If you can match those numbers with primitive mass resistance, you're welcome to try, Cthar-9 said smugly. Marcus added plates to his barbell. For the overhead press, he cleaned 135 pounds to his shoulders, then pressed it overhead. 10 times. He increased weight. 155 pounds. 5 more reps, finally, 185 pounds for a single, strict repetition. For the pulling movement, he did weighted pull-ups, his 185-pound body plus a 70-pound dumbbell held between his feet. For legs, he squatted 315 pounds. The calculations took moments. Total lifted, 755 pounds across all 3 movements. In 0.6 g conditions, but with actual mass that would crush him at full Earth gravity. Cthar-9's bioluminescence went pale white. Marcus had won. The gymnasium erupted in chaos. Aliens from 17 species spoke in a dozen languages simultaneously, their translators creating a cacophony of astonishment, disbelief, and recalculated assumptions about humanity's place in the galactic hierarchy. Station Administrator Velcross, a dignified elderly Velcran with silver-tinted carapace, descended from the observation gallery. Her security detail cleared a path through the crowd. "Human Marcus Rodriguez," she said formally. "I apologize for the informal nature of this encounter, but I must understand what I've witnessed. Is your performance today representative of average human capability?" Marcus toweled sweat from his face. "Average? No, ma'am. I mean, I work out regularly, been lifting for maybe 8 years seriously. But there are humans way stronger than me. Powerlifters, strongmen competitors, Olympic athletes, those guys are on another level." The administrator's antennae drooped. "You're saying there are stronger humans?" "Oh yeah. The world record deadlift is over 1,100 pounds. At full Earth gravity." Velcross turned to Thex Valor. "Doctor, is this possible?" The physician nodded slowly. "I've been reviewing the biological data. Humans evolved on a high-gravity world with extreme environmental pressures. Predators, diseases, temperature extremes, natural disasters. They developed redundant systems, efficient energy storage, remarkable healing capabilities, and yes, extraordinary strength-to-mass ratios. They're survivors," Kyra Shell added softly. "Built by their planet to endure." Cthar-9 approached Marcus, his bioluminescence now showing respectful blue. "I concede defeat. And I apologize for my arrogance. You are indeed formidable." "Hey, no worries," Marcus said, extending his hand. The Velcran tentatively grasped it with one of his 4 hands. "You're really strong too. We just train differently. You've probably got better technique than me on a lot of movements." This casual humility seemed to startle Cthar-9 more than the defeat itself. Zixthar finally found his voice. "Marcus, I need to ask, what you did today, this is normal for you? You do this regularly?" 3 to 4 times a week, yeah. Mix it up between strength training, cardio, some sports. Basketball, swimming when I can find a pool. And other humans do this? Millions of us. It's pretty common. Gyms are everywhere on Earth." Marcus paused. "Wait, you're telling me most species don't have strength training cultures?" "Most species," Thex Valor explained, "evolved on gentler worlds. Lower gravity, fewer environmental threats. We developed technology to compensate for physical limitations. The concept of deliberately stressing one's body to enhance capability is, well, it's considered primitive by many." "Until now," Administrator Velcross interjected. "Human Marcus, would you be willing to provide instruction to interested parties? We have much to learn. Marcus grinned. You want me to teach classes? If you're willing. This could improve galactic health standards significantly. Sure, I'd love to. Fair warning though, human workouts can be intense. We'll need to scale things appropriately for different species' capabilities. Zixthar felt something he hadn't experienced in years, excitement about learning. I would like to be your first student. Me as well, Ktharnine added. Soon, dozens of voices joined in. Marcus looked around at the eager alien faces and laughed. 3 weeks later, the Galactic Wellness Center had transformed. Equipment that once seemed cutting-edge now shared space with Marcus's primitive barbells, dumbbells, and pull-up bars. The gym had subdivided into zones, standard graviton-assisted areas for traditional clientele, and what everyone now called the Deathworlder section, where gravity ran at 0.8 g and actual mass resistance ruled. Zixthar's morning class had 12 regular students now. All moved carefully through modified versions of human exercises, scaled push-ups, assisted squats, light resistance training. His bioluminescence glowed warm gold as he watched a Threnxian successfully complete her first unassisted bodyweight squat. Excellent form, Kyrashel. Remember to breathe. She chimed with pride. 3 weeks ago, I thought this was torture. Now I understand, it's transformation. Ktharnine had become Marcus's most dedicated student, though the competitive fire remained. Human Marcus, he called out, I've increased my deadlift to 150 Earth pounds. Perhaps one day I'll match you. That's amazing progress, Ktharnine. Keep it up. The real surprise came from unexpected quarters. Species considered physically limited discovered that scaled human training methods improved their health markers dramatically. The Pixan engineer had stopped requiring respiratory assistance after 2 weeks of cardio training. A elderly KR20H professor reported improved silicon matrix density from resistance work. Administrator Velcross commissioned a formal study. Thex Valor led a research team tracking the health outcomes of 50 volunteers following Deathworlder training protocols, always abbreviated as DTP in official documents, though everyone called it human workouts. The preliminary results were staggering: 34% average increase in functional strength, 28% improvement in cardiovascular efficiency, 45% better recovery from sedentary activity injuries. The data was being prepared for presentation to the Galactic Health Council. Marcus himself had adapted. He'd learned to appreciate the different challenges. Training other species required creativity and empathy. Designing a workout for a four-armed Velcrin versus an aquatic Drenithy versus a crystalline Threnxian meant understanding 20 different types of physiology. One evening, as Marcus demonstrated proper breathing techniques to a mixed-species class, a newcomer arrived. Commander Thex Nal of the Galactic Defense Force, a battle-scarred Velcrin military veteran, approached with unusual hesitation. Human Marcus, the commander began formally. I've read Dr. Thex Valor's reports. I've watched your training videos. I have a question that may be sensitive. Go ahead. Your species was recently contacted, brought into the galactic community. You're classified as a Class 9 Death World species, the highest danger rating. Many were afraid of what humans might become with access to advanced technology. The commander's bioluminescence flickered uncertain orange. But instead, you teach us to be stronger. Why? Marcus set down his weights. Commander, on Earth, we have a saying, rising tides lift all boats. Yeah, humans are tough because we had to be. But that doesn't mean we want to keep that advantage for ourselves. If sharing our methods makes everyone healthier, safer, better, why wouldn't we? Most species hoard their advantages. Most species didn't evolve fighting everything on their planet just to survive, Marcus replied. We learned cooperation young. Had to. No human ancestor survived alone. The commander's antennae rose in understanding. The Deathworld didn't just make you strong. It made you collective. Exactly. Thexanael nodded slowly. Then I wished to learn. Not for conquest, but for protection. To be worthy of defending a galaxy that includes beings like you. As Marcus began showing the commander a basic routine, Zixtar watched from across the gym. His species had viewed strength as individual achievement, competition against others. Humans viewed it as something to build together, to share, to use in service of community. Perhaps that was the real lesson of the Deathworld. Not that suffering made you strong, but that strength meant nothing without purpose beyond yourself. The galaxy was learning. One rep at a time.